Welcome back to York, Carolina. I want to talk to you about a gentleman called Harry S. Dent. A lot of you know that name out there. He was born in 1930, South Carolina resident, helped establish the Southern Republican Party when every Southerner was a Democrat, my grandmother included, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But Mr. Dent worked as aide to Senator Strom Thurmond. He worked with Nixon, on with Ford, George Bush. I mean, the list goes on. And guess who we have here today? We have his daughter, Ginny Dent Brant, who has written a beautiful father-daughter memoir.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about your book. Welcome, Ginny.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you.
Now, tell us, first of all, where the idea from the book, when you knew you wanted and why you wanted to write it.
When I went with my dad to Romania in 1998 on a mission trip, he had been going for 20 or 30 times by that point, and I saw all he had done to help the churches come from the underground to the surface and the government to come to freedom after 40 years of communism.
Mm-hmm.
I was overwhelmed at the goodness of God, because in his former years, he was in the Nixon White House when Watergate went down, and he prepared me as a 17-year-old girl that he might go to prison and I would need to help my mother with my little brother.
Oh, my God.
And so those were difficult days. And I look back at what could have happened and how God, he was one of the ones in the end who did not go to prison, and how God transformed his life and took him from being a political strategist to a kingdom strategist and into full-time ministry. So I was so overwhelmed at the goodness of God. That was when I said, I will write this. It is too good not to tell. Now, after my father died in 2007, and I read the obituaries across the country, they were glowing. And then I read the Washington Post obituary. And they talked about him as if he was only a politician. And just that 25 years of his life, never said anything about what happened to his life after that. And I said, oh, they did not know my dad. There's more to the story. So the book tells, yes, how he built the Republican Party in the South, why he did it, how he did it. He did it for the cause of freedom. It also tells about the Watergate crisis, what we learned, and then it shows how God transformed him from a political strategist, one of the foremost in his day, to a kingdom strategist and 25 years of ministry. Yes, the whole story.
There you go.
It's all there.
It's all there.
And there's some pretty lofty names involved in endorsing your book, too.
Yes, Chuck Colson is my cover endorser and one of my mentors in helping me write the book. He gave me valuable advice through the writing process.
So as we read the book, is it more, does it pick up more after the political, or will we see some of, your side to the political and then continue the story?
Yes, it starts in the middle of the Watergate Trials, and then it flashes back to when I grew up in Washington, D.C., and what it was like to grow up in a free country where my dad worked on Capitol Hill, and I went with him as much as I could. I loved it. And so it shows the father-daughter story from the beginning, and then we pick back up in the Watergate Trials and what we learned. And then the spiritual transformation. So it's really a father-daughter journey, because I started in the modeling field and for 10 years was in the modeling field and had an offer in New York City. But the Watergate Trials, when they came, I stayed with my family to help them through that, and that took 3 years.
Isn't that something?
I did not return to the modeling field after that.
Were there other children in your family?
Yes, I have an older sister, an older brother who is a prolific author, Harry Dent Jr., who writes books on the economy, and a younger brother that now lives in Atlanta.
Okay. Well, it's a marvelous story. It certainly spans a lot of time. Your dad must have been a marvelous fellow.
What do you think your dad would think about this book?
I think he would absolutely love it, because it puts his whole life together, and it shows what God taught us about life. And that's basically this, that our freedoms were given to us not to just spend all of it on ourselves and our selfish desires, but to fulfill God's will in our lives.
It is often portrayed individuals just as the job they do. And I think it's wonderful that you're showing an entire person, because we are so much more than just work.
Right.
And it's, sometimes we forget that.
Can you send a copy to the Washington Post?
Oh, I want that. Yes, I want them to get a copy, because I was not happy with that obituary. But then again, you don't use the Washington Post to get your sources of information always. So.
Yes, I'm sure of that.
Yeah, you got to look everywhere nowadays and make
you
your
sure
own
do.
mind up.
That's right. You do.
Well, you got a book signing.
Yes, it'll be this Saturday at Walker Hall, which is at the South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind, where my husband worked for almost 20 years, and when my children were young, we lived on the campus.
You did, and that's in Spartanburg.
Yeah, this Saturday from 1 till 4 p.m. I'd love to see some of my students. I worked with at Roebuck Elementary, and I taught at USC Upstate in the early years, as well as friends and church members from Spartanburg. We consider Spartanburg home because we raised our children there for 20 years. Now we live in Clemson, Seneca area.
All right. Oh, you're in my area. You started in Jack's area, and now you live in my area.
That's
They're both golden areas, aren't they? Hey, to pick this book up, you can go to Barnes & Noble online, but also
you can go to all the .coms, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, but it's also carried in stock at Family Christian and Christian Supply in Spartanburg.
It's great for political history buffs.
Oh, and if you love politics and history, you'll love it, whether Democrat or Republican. You'll learn some things you did not know.
All right.
Well, thank you
so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Fascinating story.
Hey, we're talking, well, let's talk about flowers, shall we? They come in fresh every Monday. One of our favorite groups of folks, A Arrangement Florist. Let me show you some of those. We appreciate their help with our show. Greer and Spartanburg, right across from the library on Church Street, and also in Greer. There's their website location, aarrangementflorist.com, or better still, go by and see them. Say hello to them. Tell them we sent you. A Arrangement Florist.